Hello, Gemini, and welcome to Indigo Rising Tarot. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you're having a great day. This will be your weekly reading for the week of June 15th through the 21st. And during that time, we will have a waning gibbous moon. It's a really good time for self-reflection and rebirth. Good time to make positive changes and just think about ways that you want to grow in the next phase coming up. Get rid of some bad habits, some negative thinking. Just kind of, do a little review there. We do then have the last quarter moon that happens on the 19th, and also a time of reflection, but really then a time to let go of what no longer serves us. Kind of just getting ready for new beginnings, taking responsibility for, your past actions and thinking about the next cycle ahead. So keep those moon energies in mind as we move through the week. This will be an intuitive general reading for energies that you may or may not encounter, Gemini. So, of course, please take what resonates and leave what doesn't for someone else. Your overall message for this reading: look at the bigger picture. All right, let's see what the Gemini Collective has going on for the week. And Gemini, since my readings are free to you, all that I ask in return is that you hit that subscribe button. It really helps my channel, and I would really appreciate it. It's super easy for you to do, so I will give you just a moment to do that right now while I'm shuffling. Thank you so much. And if you've been a subscriber, thank you so much for coming back and helping me build a community here. I really do appreciate that. So thank you so much. And my weekly reminder for the week is that you watch for synchronicities in the world around you. And not just this week, of course, but every week. But watch for, those animals that you don't see every day, maybe repeating number patterns, songs, conversations that you might overhear. That's just the universe's little breadcrumbs that it drops, little ways for you to just messages to help you along the way. I know, when it comes to animals, maybe there's an animal that you see that's not one that you see every day, and it's like, well, that's interesting. And there might be a situation in your life where you need to take on the attributes of that animal to kind of manage or deal with the situation. So that's just an example of how I might use an animal synchronicity to my benefit. So just to let you know that. All right, Gemini, no longer, let's without further ado, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Let's get into this reading. We've got some cards already coming out here, so we will take that. Look at the bigger picture. Your overall energy is the Hermit card. So it looks like you're doing some thinking and you're going within, maybe, because you do need to look at the bigger picture. But you're doing this, kind of just doing that inner searching, for whatever reason, whatever it is that you have going on, you're kind of trying to, figure out why, maybe why you do the things you do, why the people around you are doing the things you do, just kind of why the world is, why your life is in the current state, be that positive, negative, whatever it might be, but kind of just doing that inner searching. Um, and what is your effect on the world around you and your world? Your current situation is the Three of Pentacles. So this could have to do with another person. This could have to do with another group of people. This is about collaborating. So, maybe you're inner searching on how you work within some system. This could be some system, that maybe your job. This could be, your family system. How do you work within that system? How do you work within like a friend group? So, tarot is a template. It could, this could template over anything, but things seems like you're doing some inner searching on how you relate to others and how you collaborate and work together. At the root of your situation is feeling a little bit brokenhearted here with the Three of Swords. So, and this, even though this is a broken heart, this is kind of a broken mind too. I think this is air energy. So think about, not only this piercing your heart, but also piercing your mind, because it's on your mind. You're thinking about it. You're thinking about ways in which, you're just, there's something that maybe you're just not happy with. You want to make some sort of changes, but because it's something that you don't like. And like I said, it could be about yourself. It could be about others, something around about the world around you, but you're going to try to look at the bigger picture. Also, now we've got two threes popping out on the table. So like I said, with synchronicities, you may need to look at the number 33. We'll see if more threes come out as we continue. In your recent past is the Temperance card. So, you're coming into this time of self-reflection in kind of a balanced manner. You feel like you've got a good a good hold on the material and the physical and the spiritual world around you and your emotional world, that you're coming into it feeling pretty self-balanced, and that's a good thing. What's on your mind is thinking about the future here with the Two of Wands. So, what is it that you are thinking about? Again, this could be different for different people. So, but it's definitely, this is kind of an inner search, and this is, the moon energy this week is really good for that. It is a good time for kind of self-reflection, and thinking about, how we are in the world. This is something we should all be doing this week, is kind of just thinking about, our place in the world. We should all constantly be trying to, striving to make improvements kind of every day. How can you make your life better? What did you do last month that you hope you don't do this month? And what things would you like to repeat? What was positive about last month that you would like to repeat this month? So those are the kind of things that we're always evaluating. And certainly the Two of Wands here, thinking about the future, and just thinking about, do you want to stay where you are, or would you like to do things even better? What is just ahead of you, Gemini, this week is the Queen of Wands. So, the Queen is our kind of our maternal understanding of a suit. So, the Queen, and not only for themselves, right? So the Queen is about, um, because it's a wand, it's about passion and fire, and it's about understanding what drives you, but also what drives your kingdom, what drives the people around you. So, and this is kind of in your future. So maybe with the self-reflection, you get to this understanding that's like, oh, here's what's driving me to do this thing in this passionate way, but here's what's driving other people around me as well, and how all of that fits together, right? Within a system of collaboration. So that's kind of in your future, is to be thinking about that, and those inner thoughts could be driving you towards thinking in that way. In your advice position is the Page of Swords. So this, your advice here is to have a new path when it comes to thinking or communicating. If these swords are heavy on your mind, that whatever you've recently been going through, this is a new way. This is maybe a new way to do it. This is a new way to think. Excuse me. And I'm going to grab a drink. Anytime anytime my throat does this during a reading, I want to say speak up. And of course, this is a card of air energy of speaking. This could be speaking up in a new way. Maybe if you've been speaking negatively, it's time to switch that over and speak positively. If you've been thinking negatively, it's time to think positive. So this is about a new path. If you're this, and this is kind of, this also goes with self-evaluation, to think about, how is it that you communicate and think on a normal basis. Think about your last week or your last couple of weeks. Do that reflection. Are you being nice to the people around you that you're speaking to? Are you being, is there something that you would change, about, think about past conversations, or even just ways of thinking too, that do you feel like, if you've been kind of in a funk, or you've been thinking a little bit negatively, and it's like, well, maybe I should be thinking more positively, and then think of ways to help yourself do that. I know I keep a little list. When the first thing I see when I wake up in the morning is this little list of, I mean, for me, it's like a chakra system, and it's like these little affirmations, and then I also put little notes there of things that I'm working on. So if it's, you remind yourself every morning. I want to be better at this thing today. And really work at it. It takes time and energy, and just to remind yourself to do it. You might think of this one day while you're having these deep inner searching thoughts, and think, oh, I want to speak more positively. Well, it's hard to put that in action if you're not reminding yourself daily to do that, I guess, is what I'm trying to say there. So what is beyond your control this week is feeling a little bit of dissatisfaction here with the Four of Cups. So, whatever the universe is kind of bringing to you, and that's kind of beyond your control, is you might just be feeling a little bit blah about what's around you, and all you can do there is only you can make those kind of changes. If maybe the universe is not offering you something in the emotional realm that you're that interested in. So, there's really nothing you can do that's going to be beyond your control. What is your secret desire? What you're trying to avoid is the Six of Cups. So, is it your secret desire to kind of, this can be our card of reminiscing. This is kind of, the way things were in the past, that you're thinking about it. And are you trying to be a little bit more like you used to be in the past, or are you trying to avoid that? And if for some reason this negative thinking and things are coming up because of this Three of Wands, it's making me think that, is there some negative thinking, negative speaking? Are you just being negative? And so are you trying to avoid, maybe you used to be more positive, and maybe it is time to bring that back. You're not super satisfied. That's beyond your control. Maybe that would bring you a little bit more satisfaction, is to make those changes. But that's going to be your big question this week, is that is either your secret desire is to maybe, go back in the past and think about, oh, well, I used to be this way, maybe I could go back to being that way. Why did I change? What happened? Maybe I need to think about that. Or are you trying to avoid that? So that's your big question of the week, Gemini. And in your outcome is the Queen of Swords. So, you're going to take these swords that, um, again, things that are making you not happy, you're going to turn them around by the end of the week. And like I said, if you need a reminder every week of, you want to speak positively. So here we are back. So we had the Queen of Wands. The Queen of Swords is like understanding how to communicate better, how to think better, right? But it's not only for you, but it's also, again, like the Queen of Wands, it's about the people around you. It's how your words affect your kingdom, your actions, your thoughts, how they affect your kingdom. And that's kind of um, the maternal way of thinking of that. So, your overall message card again was look at the bigger picture, but of course you're going within with this Hermit card, to do that kind of inner searching. And I think to see how you affect the bigger picture. So, not a bad way to spend a week, just improving yourself. I'd love to see what happens for you next week, Gemini. So, let's get some final words here from the Soul Oracle deck as you make these improvements, which I think are lovely. I mean, I think, this is good advice for anybody, not just your sign, but if, we all are in that evaluation period, as the light of the moon goes down and we get ready for the next cycle of the new moon coming up, it's good to just kind of reflect on where we are, the things, the way we communicate with others, and just our general attitude. All right. Face your shadow. Interesting. Very interesting. Which is definitely, that's involved here with the Hermit too. That's that going within, and it is facing your shadow. It's definitely working on shadow work, as you just kind of go within and do that inner searching. It's not all positive in there for any of us. There's always those negative things that we want to change about ourselves, and maybe there is something, there in your shadow that's maybe something you just need to look at a little bit deeper, that's affecting your attitude or the way that you speak to others, and make a plan. Like I said, if it's something that you do want to change, you know and if you're like me, I mean, I don't know, I feel like I may have a little bit of ADD, where I do need to make myself notes and things, and have reminders. A lot of times I wear jewelry for that reason. I might have a bracelet that reminds me of like a spiritual lesson that I'm learning or that I'm trying to apply into my life. And so, I wear that for a while, and it's just kind of my daily reminder. I've put my intentions, into that piece of jewelry, or again, it could be a note. It could just be a little alarm that comes on your phone, like, hey, are you being nice today? Are you thinking positive today? Just to remind yourself. But make a plan. Make a plan to, what is it they say, that it takes 2 weeks to change a habit? Make a plan to change that habit. If you feel like you've gotten into some negative way of being, make a plan to make those positive changes so that you can get to a more positive place. So, Gemini, I really appreciate your time here with me today. I do hope there was something in this reading that you can take away and use. If you're comfortable sharing, of course, please drop me a message in the comments and let me know what it is that you're going through. I do love to get that sort of feedback. I post weekly readings, so come back next week and we'll see if this energy if the story continues on or if there's something completely new here for you. Also, if you like my reading style, again, please like and subscribe. It really does help my channel, but most importantly, it'll help you find me next week. So thanks so much, Gemini. We'll see you next time. Bye bye.